Before I get into today's episode, I want to express my deepest condolences to the people in Texas right now who are just struggling right now with the disastrous flood and everything. I'm so over thoughts and prayers because when it comes to situations like this one, you just can't give them your silence and prayers and just hope that things would just get better for them. It takes actions, and actually it says that in the Bible. Prayers are useless if it's not followed with actions, and there's so much we can do right now for the people in Texas. So that's why I decided to share a couple links to resources and organizations who are doing the backbreaking God's work to help the very good Americans who are struggling right now. And each and every single one of us can do our part into helping them as well. So if you will kindly donate at least $5 to any of the organizations that I shared in the show's description, that will be completely appreciated, and I know it will go a long way to helping our fellow good Americans. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. How is everyone? If you don't know me, my name is Chaida. I am a Black female content creator and writer, and this is my podcast where I discuss relevant issues surrounding people, society, culture, and politics. Each episode, and I've been doing this for a while, I like to start off with a scripture. And in today's episode, you can find the scripture in Romans 12. And I have right here my Bible always ready for me. Romans 12, verse 2, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." Every day, I'm trying to set that down. Every day, I thank God so much that we did not get a female president like Kamala Harris. I even thank God more every day. I didn't see it at first a couple years back when it was like almost a decade ago. It was 2016, and the whole world stood by as we watched for the first time that whether Hillary Clinton was going to be the first female president of the United States, and she lost miserably to Donald J. Trump. At the time, I couldn't really see it. I was a teenager and I was still in high school, but I still felt a yearn for that moment, for that historic moment, and it never happened. But now that I look back, I sort of thank God. I thank God every day that we did not get Hillary Clinton as a president of the United States. She would have been a hell show, just to be nice. Okay, so over the years, we have seen women from both sides of the political aisle run for office. And why is that? Um, well, a lot of people tend to believe that America is small-minded, that Americans are small-minded, and that we're backwards if we do not have a female president sitting in office. Other countries across the world, including developed countries, already have female presidents serving for them. So why hasn't the United States met the expectation? Well, I don't think it's necessary an expectation to have a female president in the Oval Office. I, however, do believe that in the future that there will be a woman occupying the seat of Commander in Chief. However, I have some ideas, and I think it's very important. Hold on, let me fix my camera a little bit. I think it is very important that the first female president of the United States holds very personal and deep qualities that make a good leader, particularly a patriotic leader. But before we dive into all of that, let's get into the reasons why both Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris did not win the presidency for the United States. First up, we're going to start off with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, former prosecutor, a former DA, and now a former vice president for the United States, was looking forward to taking after Joe Biden after his term was over and occupying the seat in the Oval Office. However, last November, she did not win the presidency by a wide margin. Over 73 million Americans voted for the former commander-in-chief, Donald J. Trump. This loss must have felt like a sucker punch for the then vice president. However, was it really about America being backwards or bigoted or small-minded to think that a woman is not strong enough, fit enough to occupy the Oval Office? Or was she the problem? Let's get into it. First thing first, I find Kamala Harris very fake and very cunning. Obviously, despite having a history in politics and including practicing law, it's especially criminal law, it's very clear to me based on the many speeches and debates that she has done during her career is she is not the brightest tool in the box. And if she had won the election and she had then became the president-elect, now the president of the United States, it would have been very telling that she would not have been the one calling the shots in the White House. A lot of people like to make the assumption that Donald Trump is also not the one calling the shots in the White House when it comes to his relationship with Elon Musk and how much Elon Musk played a role in that administration. However, even if that was very true, I still think that Elon Musk made a better president than Kamala Harris would have ever been. Because Kamala Harris, she didn't present good qualities that a leader needs to possess in order to be a great leader. And let me start out with my first point. She had no clear vision. When Kamala Harris was campaigning and when she would do her public speeches, especially on the debate stage, it was very clear she did not have any clear vision about what America will look like under her leadership. When you're running for an office, you want the American people to adapt to this dream, a dream that you have for them. She usually spoke in vague platitudes with very little substance during her speeches. And that doesn't really appeal to a lot of people, especially during these modern times. People want to dream what you're dreaming. People want to grasp off grasps onto ideas and a vision that they can see for their future. Another point that I would like to make is she had very awkward communication style, which is very weird because as someone who had history as being a prosecutor and then a DA, you would think that she would have better, very effective communication styles. Things like, ooh, let me dismiss that. Things like she was cackling and using renting on with these word salads. She definitely did not had she did not present herself in a very efficient and effective manner. If you can understand that, then please be so to leave so in a comment about ways that Kamala Harris didn't have effective communication style during her campaigning for president. And last but not least, her lackluster of a career of being vice president under Joe Biden. When she was vice president, she did not take on, or she avoided very strenuous issues that the right hand of the President of the United States can never ignore. She ignored very huge issues, mostly the border crisis, and including root issues that the previous administration had wanted to address, had campaigned on addressing, but did not choose to address. And I think that's what cost her the presidency. A few of these reasons, and of course, a lot of other reasons. And if you feel the same way, please tell me about it in the comment section. And if not, and if you feel differently about what I said, please also be sure to share that as well. Now we're going to move on to Hillary Clinton. Even though it's been almost a decade since the 2016 presidential election, it feels like it was yesterday that America was on a standstill as the whole world watched whether we were going to get our first female president of the United States. And when Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, we were like, that's it. That really sealed the deal. We were going to get our first female president of the United States. And then bam, Donald J. Trump. He took that presidency. He sort of like snatched it away from her with the electoral votes. That is when people really made the argument that we don't need the electoral college anymore. Because what is it for? Listen, this is not the video to go into why we have electoral college, but it's very important that we not only have a popular vote, but we also do have a electoral college. So even though that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but didn't end up becoming president of the United States, why is it so important that we talk about this, that we address some of the things that went on during her campaigning, not just her campaigning, but throughout her entire career in Washington, D.C. This is why I thank God every day that Hillary Clinton did not become the president of the United States, considering the history behind this woman. Number one, well, she is and very indeed a crooked politician. Hint, crooked Hillary. She had a very low trustworthiness when it came to the American people. A lot of people did not trust her. She was definitely your career politician pipe. She was definitely your typical career politician. Oh my goodness. Your typical career politician. She wanted to move up the pipeline, accrue so much power that she kind of push aside policy. She kind of pushed aside people, especially when she was senator and then secretary of state. During her time as senator, she didn't really have a good really have a good record when it came to voting on legislation that really helped shape America. And in fact, she only had a very few landmark legislation passings under her belt when she was senator for the United States. Not for the United States, but serving as a senator in Congress for the United States. And then you have the disastrous foreign policy that really probably put pinned the nail on the coffin for her run for presidency. You had she oversaw the Libya intervention, which really destabilized the region and led to the rise of ISIS. You also had the Benghazi attack, which led to the death of 4 Americans, and there were almost no accountability on her part for this oversight. And then you had the Iraq War. And this is why I honestly believe and I actually laugh in people's faces when they say that if a woman was in charge, there will be no wars. And I always tell them, I got 2 words for you. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. There's nobody, and I believe nobody, who's a bigger warmonger in DC than that woman. And there are some huge warmongers in DC. And then during her campaigning in 2016, she presented this polarizing and out of touch style for her campaigning that really left a bad taste in a lot of Americans' mouth. She almost had this shriek entitlement for the Oval Office, claiming that this Oval Office would be hers one day. She walked around this earth with a huge chip on her shoulder, thinking that she was owed this. I remember extensively how a couple years back, a little closer to the election time of 2016, how she posted a happy birthday message to herself. And it says something along the lines of, "Happy birthday to this future president of the United States." Like, excuse me, ma'am? You are not the president of the United States yet. First, work on appealing to the American people first. And I see this mirrors exactly like Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris too had a very hard time appealing to the American people. She had a very difficult time getting in touch with everyday Americans. And it's funny that how 2 women in the same political party, had such polarizing, out of touch style when it came to their campaignings, when it came to reaching out to everyday Americans. I find that very interesting. So this leads me to my last point. Who is going to be the first female president of the United States? I think it's going to be Ivanka Trump. Psych. I don't know if Ivanka. I understand that she has priorities in her life. She's probably not going to consider running for office anytime soon. Maybe it'll be her older brother, Don Jr. I'm just kidding. He obviously is a woman. But with all jokes aside, here are some of the qualities that I think will possess in our first female president of the United States, the qualities that were very lacking in both Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. The first quality, I think, she's going to be a patriot. The first female president of the United States has to have pride of God. She has to have the love of God, family, and country. And I don't think either one of those women had any pride of their country. They didn't have any ounce of patriotism boiling through their blood. But that's okay. It's a good thing they did not hold the title of President of the United States, because the first female president of the United States will be indeed a patriot. Secondly, she will probably most likely be a veteran. Yes. She'll probably have some sort of military background, like Tulsi Gabbard. Not to say that it's going to be her, but she's going to have some sense of line of duty. Like she's going to be some sort of veteran of any kind. Maybe she'll be like a police veteran, for all I know, or firefighter veteran. She's definitely going to come from a background where she did something along that involves serving other people. Because when good leaders, they put others' needs before themselves. They understand, and this is something that is uniquely but innately understandable to Christians, is that we have to serve other people first before ourselves. That we sometimes have to push our needs away and do what's in best in service of others. And that's what good leaders do. They put the needs of others before them. Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, they always wanted to put their needs first. And that kind of mentality didn't really resonate with the American people. Okay. And so next to my next point, my next quality that I think the first female president is going to have is she's going to be an entrepreneur. She's going to have some background in entrepreneurship. Because the only reason why I say this is because she's going to understand the American way of building wealth. She's going to understand what it means to start something that's hers and try to create it and give it purpose and sell it and have it be an amazing contribution to society. So yeah, she's definitely going to be a veteran. Another aspect that the first female president of the United States might have is she's going to be a doting wife and a mother. And a woman, and I said this, I might have written about this in an article that I did on my Substack, which I will be providing a link to in this show's description. She's going to obviously have a love of God and family. So she's definitely going to have a family of her own. The first female president of the United States is indeed going to have a wife. And no, not have a wife, but be a wife and have children. And she's going to understand because she uniquely understands her responsibility at home, she's going to understand what everyday Americans need to have for their families and what they need to have for their families. And last but not least, I think the first female president of the United States will most likely be a Republican. If Republicans choose to get their act together and decide to put a good quality woman on the ballot, I think regardless who she is, I think she will most likely be a Republican. I know nowadays everybody's looking at J.D. Vance to be the next presidential nominee for the Republican Party in 2028. It's too early to say that soon. However, as much as I would like J.D. Vance and as much as I really appreciated his history and his story of coming up from a very broken background, living in the slums in Ohio, to now becoming the vice president of the United States. And as great as it would be to see him become president of the United States, I'm not really seeing that for him. It's okay. It's just me. It has maybe nothing to do with him or his leadership. There's not a lot that I've not really looked into JD Vance that much since President Trump has taken office in January. So he may possess some good qualities in what it looks like to be a leader in the free world. However, I'm just not seeing that for him. And that's okay. Anyways, let's get back into it. If you have made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please consider subscribing, like the video, and leave a comment. And if you're watching this on any other platform besides YouTube, please follow and like the video, and also leave a comment there, because I'm pretty sure you can leave a comment on Facebook and Spotify. And if you are new to this channel and you are seeing me for the first time and you want to get more insight into my life, you can follow me on any of my social media platforms that are provided in the show's description. And if you are a returning guest to my show, thank you so much for your continuous support. I really appreciate it. All of you guys who are just coming to my podcast week after week and watching all of my videos and seeing the ideas and the thoughts that I have about various issues across the platform. Across different platforms. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and you don't know how much it means to me. You will never know. So thank you for always giving me your continued support. Anyways, love you always. I'll see you in the next time. Until I see you again, have a lovely